Good morning. We're in Romans chapter 1. Last week we looked at all of Romans chapter 1, verse 18 through chapter 3, verse 20. And I wanted you to see the big scope of what Paul's doing in his argument of why the gospel is good news. And the good news starts with the bad news, and that bad news is all humanity is under sin. So Paul takes quite some time to establish that, and we looked at that last week. What I want to do for this week and next week is just to finish out chapter 1, to look at some of the specifics of what is going on there with sin in mankind. And it really goes back to creation. That's why I'm focusing on this. I would love for you, if you want to, over this next few weeks, go back to Genesis chapters 1, 2, and 3 and read that a few times, because I believe that is informing Paul here. But here's what I just want to read to you, chapter 1, Romans 1, verse 18 to 25, which is a text for this week. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. That's very important. They suppress it. For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made, so that they are without excuse. For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him. But they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creepy things. But we'll stop there for today, verse 23. This is a simple thing I want to talk about today. That this passage suggests, since God is the creator of everything, Genesis 1, 2, 3 would inform us of that. He created everything. We're in his image. Automatically, we should be able to look at creation from looking at ourselves to the entirety of creation and say, I understand there's a God behind this. And I can learn certain things about him. This one suggests his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, can be seen. So what seems obvious to Christians, those who know Jesus Christ, know he is the one who created us. We look at the world and go, wow, what an amazing God we have. This passage suggests every human being should be able to do that. But the irony of it is, because mankind suppresses the truth, we have now turned it around, the observation of nature, which is called science, the observation of nature, and we said, you know what? We can't see God anywhere. All we see is random chance. And so I'm going to read to you a quote from Rebecca McLaughlin's book that I've been telling you about, which is Confronting Christianity. This quote comes from atheist Alex Rosenberg. He wrote a book called The Atheist Guide to Reality. Here it is. There is so much more to atheism than its knockdown arguments that there is no God. There is the whole rest of the worldview that comes along with atheism. It's a demanding, rigorous, breathtaking grip on reality, one that is vindicated beyond reasonable doubt. Let me get that right. One that is vindicated beyond reasonable doubt. It's called science. Now that's an amazing statement. This man is suggesting that the practice of science, which is the observation of reality, that you look at how things work and you do tests on it, so you can repeatable things, and you come up with theories and you move forward. So your hypotheses, the theories, and you move forward with perceived as facts. Science supposedly is a knockdown argument. There is no God. All there is raw data from nature. But Paul tells us quite the opposite. By doing the exact same thing, by observing the creation, we should be able to see who God is. Something about him, his invisible attributes, his power, his divine nature. So here's the assignment for you this week. I want you to think about, as you look at nature, what comes back to you about the Creator. What can you learn about your God from simply observing creation? I presented this to the staff meeting, and Deborah, she looked at it and said, the human body is absolutely amazing. Let's look at the intricacies of the eye and the ear. And that blew her away in regards to God's power, God's wisdom. Gabe, he was saying, you know what? The power of God in the ocean. Just being in the ocean and a wave hits you, no matter how strong or big you are, that wave will take you out no matter what. It just demonstrates a little thing like a wave shows how powerful God is. I was thinking about the mountains. I look at the majesty of the mountains and just the beauty of all that God has done in creating it and maintaining it, and how majestic he is. What do you see in creation? as you look at it, what do you learn about God? I want you to go to my Facebook page or email me at tony@cornerstonecommunity.net, tony@cornerstonecommunity.net, or Facebook page, and tell me some of the things you see in creation that teaches you something about God. I look forward to reading your comments, and we'll talk again Friday.